Hey everyone, my name is Jack, and about a week ago I posted a video talking about the National Multifamily Housing Council's data that showed that only 69% of tenants paid their rent before April 5th, which is the typical due date for all rent payments. That was over 10 points less than March's payment rate before March 5th. I talked about how dangerous that trend is for real estate and real estate investors, but I noted the potential flaws with looking at that data in particular. Specifically, I mentioned, however, the data might not be as bad as it seems to be. April 5th was a Sunday after all, which is when many banks are closed as it is, so offices would have been unable to process checks. On a similar note, many leasing offices are closed due to the pandemic, and that delays processing even further. And anyone who paid their rent on April 6th, 7th, or 8th are not included in this study and don't count. In other words, the data is definitely pessimistic and probably underestimates that amount of people who actually did not pay their rent. I was waiting to see what the data would show in a few days since NMHC updates the data every single week. Well, the results are in, but before I get to those results, if you guys want to see more of this type of content on real estate, the markets, and investing, be sure to hit the like button so I know that you like this sort of content, and then I'll create more of it. It also helps me with that fickle YouTube algorithm, which is very hard to please. Anyways, here are the results. As of April 12th, an additional 15% of tenants paid their April rent, bringing us to a total of 84%. That's certainly a hefty increase from a week ago, and this is compared to 91% of tenants paying their rent in March 2020 and 90% during this time last year in April 2019. So it seems that the initial numbers were a bit overly dramatic. However, many of the same caveats still apply to this data. While it's a large sample size of 11.5 million apartment units throughout the country, this data is skewed towards commercial apartment buildings who use the rental systems that NMHC pulls from. Most single-family or smaller properties probably aren't using Yardi or Entrata to track rent payments, so this data does not include many millions of smaller landlords. More importantly, this data does not differentiate between full and partial rent payments. It is not as though all 84% of tenants paid their full rental amounts. Many landlords have offered reduced rents in March and April, so there is still a substantial cut to revenue in many cases. And that's before you even consider that this is still a 7-point decrease from last month. A 7-point decrease is still a hefty drop-off. For over-leveraged landlords with expensive debt or low reserves, this could spell trouble sooner rather than later. Of course, there's still some time left in April to pay April rent, so we'll see. But the data is thankfully not as bad as originally thought, at least that's the way it seems. We'll continue to collect more data as time passes, of course, and ideally, late April and May, we'll see more tenants paying rent on time thanks to the stimulus packages being rolled out nationwide. That would certainly help to avoid the threat of a chain reaction where landlords are unable to pay their loans, and then mortgage holders would be unable to pay their investors, like pension funds, to name a very important one. Real estate is a part of a much greater economic machine, with so many investors and investment products relying on real estate. Not to mention many homeowners parking much of their family wealth in their homes. May data will be especially interesting since millions of U.S. citizens just got their $1,200 stimulus checks, which for those who have been laid off will hopefully help to cover at least some expenses, ideally rent included. Well, ideally we wouldn't have this crisis in the first place, but you get the point. Obviously, even if that happens, it'll take a while to rehire the millions of people who have lost their jobs, and given the massive amounts of debt that small and big businesses alike are taking out to cover operating expenses. But as more people re-enter the workforce, I'd expect these rental numbers to return at least close to normal, with more people paying rent on time and less partial rent payments. Just like I mentioned last time, we'll get more data as weeks go by, and I'll be focusing on the real estate market closely since information is key during this crazy time period. I'll also fill you in on my hunt for a rental property, especially as the investing environment changes in response to the pandemic. I have been making offers on properties in Indianapolis, but even some full price offers have been denied just in the last couple of weeks, so the pandemic's negative economic effects haven't seemed to have trickled down to every real estate market, but if only I could see the future and could tell if it will ever trickle down. Ultimately, late rent is better than no rent. Every rent payment has a much larger effect on the overall economy than just lining some greedy landlords' pockets. Many landlords are institutional investors that pay millions of other investors and even municipalities with their revenue. Those investors then have money to spend throughout the economy or invest in other projects, which will drive more growth. And then those projects and businesses can provide more services to people to improve output and hire more people. And then those people that they hire can pay rent and so on. This is called the velocity of money, which is the number of times that some amount of money is used to buy things within some certain time period. The higher the velocity of money, the more economic activity we'd expect. Velocity can be slowed when people are fearful and stop spending or paying their existing obligations. Money circulates, and with no velocity, it can't circulate. And if it can't circulate, it can't pay people. And then those people can't pay for things from other people in what's a vicious cycle. If you guys want to circulate some money, check out my affiliate links in the description below to get yourself 3 free stocks by signing up for Webull and Robinhood. You can sell those stocks right after getting them and close your accounts, and then use that money to buy things to help the greater economy. Or you can hang on to those stocks and let them grow. That's fine too. They're free stocks on free brokerages, so please get your free money. It might only be a few bucks worth of stocks, but I was able to get 20 bucks worth of stocks when I opened my Webull account, so you might as well take advantage of it too. Those 20 bucks are like some groceries that can help to pay a grocery store, who then pays a worker, who can then pay for their groceries. Well, you get the point. You apparently can get a stock worth up to $1,400 when you open up your Webull account and $200 with Robinhood. Let me know what stocks you guys get so I know that this promotion is working well. Well, that's all I've got for today. If you like this video, like it, since it helps the channel out a lot. If you want to see more content on real estate, investing, and other personal finance topics, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new updates. I post new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. What do you think's coming for real estate? Do you expect May numbers to be significantly worse or better? Definitely let me know in the comments below, but until next time, take care.